Hello and welcome back to the Gorilla Biker, and today where we are is in Goose Creek State Park in North Carolina, but we're not going to be staying here. I just wanted to start the video here because it's pretty and it was close to our destination, and our destination today is a place called Bath, North Carolina. Now for anyone who is a fan of pirates, I think she was asking me to do that, so there you go. For anyone who's a fan of pirates, they will know that Bath is where Blackbeard the pirate kind of retired to, and that's why we're going there. I'll get back to Blackbeard in a second though. First, just to talk about Goose Creek a little bit. It's actually really pretty here. Like it's really beautiful. Not that far a ride from where I live, so I will definitely try to ride out here more, actually, now that the weather is getting so much better. And it is a beautiful day here today, but it's actually really cool. Like other than ticks, which apparently are quite a common thing around here, and actually, just completely off topic, did anyone ever hear that apparently like the modern tick that gives you Lyme disease, there's like conspiracy stories about that was kind of human manufactured, kind of like lab leak and whatnot. I'm not saying I believe in that or not, it's just interesting, isn't it, that something that's such a pain in the ass, having to watch for ticks as much as we do, might actually be our fault, which would be kind of funny. I love those kind of wizard stuff hanging from trees. I can never remember the name of it. But what's cool about Goose Creek is there's lots and lots of trails here. No super long ones from what I remember. Some longer ones for sure, but no amazingly long ones. But the cool thing is there is like a little river up here that I did see them on the way in. Hopefully we'll be able to see them on this side and the way up. But there's lots of little turtles in here, which is really cool. Come on, car. I want to slip through here. But yeah, really well worth the visit. Obviously lots of trees, lots of wildlife, and somewhere you're actually like able to pull in without worrying about being accosted by people. But I'll try see now. So there was lots of turtles. Hopefully I'll see. Look there, look at them all there along the branch. So cool. And yes, I did see that person braking in front of me, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, there's more. Look at them. Look at the little turtles all sunbathing. What is this guy doing? Jesus. But yeah, so that's Goose Creek State Park. There's trails here. It's pretty as hell. Even if you're just going to ride in and through it, it's kind of worth it. I mean, that's pretty much all I've done today, is I've just rode in, took a little break, drank the rest of the water I had with me, so I will need to get more, and kind of just enjoyed the ambiance, you know. It's quite nice. And yeah, that's a big fancy word, isn't it? Ambiance. Oh, I should ride down there. I might go down that gravel route on the way back. We'll see. I don't have any puncture repair with me, so I might not do that today. But I'll come back and do it. Gravel track looks fun. Scooch around the outside here. So yeah, Blackbeard. Blackbeard, for those of you who for some reason don't know, Blackbeard was a pirate back in the 1700s. And Blackbeard, a lot of people today even think Blackbeard was kind of like a myth or a legend, just because his name is so synonymous. Now, a part of that is definitely that he picked a super cool name, you know, Blackbeard. Definitely just something that is like, yeah, that's going to live in the memory. You know, it's not like he called himself Bum Tickler 3000, although Bum Tickler 3000 as a pirate probably would have lived in the memory too. But why Blackbeard was so kind of well known even back then was Blackbeard wasn't known for being overtly cruel. Like, he wouldn't torture people he captured or whatever else, but Blackbeard was known to be kind of like, you know, a pirate version of a stormtrooper. Like an effective stormtrooper, like a Space Marine stormtrooper from Warhammer 40k, not like a stormtrooper from Star Wars, because they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn door. But you know, that's kind of was his tactic back then, was just to go in, it was pretty much shock and awe tactics, you know. But Blackbeard started off his pirating career under another captain whose name I cannot recall right now, and then eventually hit out on his own. But when he became a very kind of famous back then, I suppose, he partnered with a gentleman pirate, as they called him, called Mr. Boone. Can't remember his first name. I'm not a historian, I'm just interested in this stuff. And he also captured a huge vessel and added 40 cannons to it, and that became his flagship, which was known as the Queen Anne's Revenge. Now the Queen Anne's Revenge is obviously the pirate ship that Blackbeard is known for. Now why I'm talking about Blackbeard is Blackbeard actually had a very short-lived career, you know. For the strength of his legend, you'd think he was around longer, but Blackbeard only really sailed the high seas of piracy for about 2 years. It was kind of the reach of his career, and that spanned the whole east coast of the United States, down into the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. The dude went everywhere and captured a lot of stuff, and wasn't a very effective pirate also, you know, like from the perspective of actual successful raids or whatever else. He was very successful. However, in the grand scheme of things, I suppose he probably wasn't that successful in real terms, because his crew was never really happy. They never really scored huge plunders. But to get back to Bath, right, so the reason we're going to Bath is towards the end of Blackbeard's reign of terror, from which he was once called, oh, this is a nice corner, he was called El Gran Diablo, which is the Great Devil in Spanish. That was during his Gulf of Mexico days. This is a nice, these are some nice turns for once. But where he came to an end is actually kind of like, in the grand scheme of things, for someone with his legend, a bit pitiful. They actually crashed or beached or ran the Queen Anne's Revenge aground. Now, some different people say this is on purpose, some people say it wasn't. Where I've a lot of my most up-to-date information, I suppose, is from a podcast called The Last Podcast on the Left, which I highly recommend. They're awesome. And also History.tv and other publications that I've read just on the internet. But anyway, so when he ran the ship aground, the Queen Anne's Revenge aground, he actually ended up marooning most of his crew there, which was just south of the Outer Banks, essentially. Oh, you're not going right. I'll sneak up here. Which was kind of a shitty thing to do to your crew, but yeah, he did when he ran the Queen Anne's Revenge aground, he did actually maroon most of his crew where he ran aground. Now, the one thing that I do like about the Queen Anne's Revenge is the Queen Anne's Revenge, when Blackbeard captured it. Now, I don't know what he did with all these people, but the Queen Anne's Revenge was actually transporting slaves. Now, whether Blackbeard released them or whatever he did, I don't think he sold them. So, I mean, I'm kind of happy the people on that particular ship got what was coming to them, because they were slavers. So, good enough for them, really. It's almost a pity Blackbeard didn't torture people back then, because they deserved it, you know what I mean? They're people who actually deserved it. We're back into the flatlands. Some people have asked as well recently, is there anything I can do about the wind noise in the helmet? And the answer is hopefully. I think it's actually the helmet. Now, it is obviously windy around, especially today. It is quite windy, but I do think that the helmet is definitely causing more problems than it's helping. So I am probably going to go back to keeping this helmet for track use, and I'll get another more insulated helmet around the mouth for vlogging. So if anyone has any suggestions of a helmet for vlogging, please do leave it down in the comments, and I'll have a look and see does it suit me, and is it something I can afford. But that's kind of what I'd like to do, is get a helmet set up for vlogging again, and keep this for track use, and just when I'm not videoing. After Blackbeard ran the Queen Anne's Revenge aground and marooned most of his crew, he actually took up, he went into, I think that was in Charleston, South Carolina, where that happened. I'm not sure. Or he was back up around Charleston when it happened anyway, South Carolina. And, oh, an IROC. Cool. But anyway, so eventually what happened was Blackbeard accepted an amnesty for pirates, and basically retired to bat when he was kind of, all of his sins were expunged or forgiven, and he retired to bat. Now that's where we're going. How long did Blackbeard actually spend in Bath is debatable, seeing as we'll get to how his life ended very soon. But that's kind of where Bath comes into the story. Is it was technically Blackbeard's retirement home. Now Blackbeard didn't stay in Bath long. Blackbeard went out to an island called Ocracoke, I think is how you pronounce it. You can get there via Hatteras with a ferry, which I really want to do. I mean, me and Toaster were out there. You know, I made a video in the car while we were out in Hatteras. But I definitely want to go back out there on the bike and get the ferry across to Ocracoke to actually see where Blackbeard met his demise. So how did Blackbeard come to an end? Well, that's another interesting story. So Blackbeard set up his base of operations once he retired to Bath on Ocracoke. Still obviously sailing ships and whatever else, because I mean that's kind of all the man knew. It's very hard to move away from that type of thing. And now we're in historic Bath. Welcome to Bath, everyone. Colony's first town. Oh yeah, actually I forgot to mention that as well. We'll jump back to how he died in a second. But Bath, which I think I have mentioned before when I did the Washington video, Bath is the first settled town of North Carolina. And there you go. And it is absolutely bloody beautiful down here. Look at that. Oh my god. Beautiful. Well, especially when the sun is shining, this place is absolutely gorgeous. It really, really, really is. I can imagine if it's like really bad, crappy weather, it might be a bit rough, but otherwise it is beautiful. Now we're going to take a right just here, so we can go down to the kind of the watery outlook. The outlook of water. So this is all historic Bath now here. As you can see, the houses are a bit more interesting. Palmer Marsh house, so that's a preserved house from back in the day. It might have been rebuilt, who knows. But you can see that the architecture here is very different to what you find in you know, bigger towns and whatever else. Huh. That felt weird. I was just grabbing that line, I'd say. Yeah, so you actually have like older stuff here. First Post Road, there you go. So just a really, really beautiful little town, with obviously quite a lot of history. Home of Blackbeard, there you go. And we have stopped. There's also a really old church right there. We'll ride around at the very end of the video. I want to show you down here for a second. It's definitely my favorite part of Bath. But anyway, so what happened was Blackbeard obviously, we'll say, was never proven guilty, we'll say, but he never turned away fully from his ways of piracy, is the assumption. And essentially what happened was he sailed out from Ocracoke, questionably caught a ship, captured a ship, and took all of its goods. Which consisted of sugar, I believe it was, and essentially would have made himself quite a wealthy man off said sugar. But when he got back, you know, he said, oh well, I found a shipwreck and that's where I got this from. I don't think anyone really believed him. The person who especially didn't believe him was the governor. I believe he was the governor of Virginia, which was a separate colony back then, you know, so they didn't really share you know, rules or whatever else. They weren't really supposed to come in and operate in a different colony, but he did. He actually sent a strike force of about 60 people, 60 soldiers down to Ocracoke to bring back Blackbeard, dead or alive. Now obviously, as I already kind of gave it away, Blackbeard did die in Ocracoke. So he was outnumbered about 2 to 1. Look at that bike, beautiful. And when they actually got his body at the end, apparently he had 20 sword wounds, I believe, and 5 bullet wounds. So man put up a fight. He put up a fight, or someone was just really mad and kept on cutting at him. And that is how Blackbeard fell. So like I said, what's kind of crazy is Blackbeard literally, his whole span of deviousness, of which he captured, I believe, over 30 ships, 30 or 50, but it's a lot. It's a huge amount of ships, and like I said, all the way down the east coast of the US, the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean. He really got around. And not to mention captured that huge ship, slave ship, and converted to a pirate ship with 40 cannons. Really quite a cool story, and one that, I mean, Blackbeard is synonymous with pirates today. The name Blackbeard is synonymous with pirates and piracy. And yeah, that is how he met his end. His old buddy, Mr. Boone, when he ran the Queen Anne's Revenge aground, he actually left Blackbeard, then went to do a retire, and he was hung in, I think, Charleston in South Carolina. So he didn't last long at all. Whereas Blackbeard lasted a little bit longer, and I mean, got to live here for X amount of time, which I mean, you can't go wrong, can you? It's a pretty damn nice place. I'm sure it was a bit more trees and whatnot back then. Squirrels. But still, having the opportunity to live here for a while is definitely a plus point, especially, you know, if you were a pirate. And, you know, I might talk about Blackbeard like he's cool, because he was cool. But also, it bears in mind to remember he was a massive, massive murderer, so, you know. The Bonner House. So there you go, that is a restored house from 1820 is where that house is from, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, and this actual area is called Bonner Point. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I wonder, did Blackbeard ever come here and just look out at that? He probably did. Definitely sailed out there anyway. If he got out to Ocracoke. Didn't have roads and ferries back then to bring your car out. All the birds. But yeah, that's kind of the very concise story of Blackbeard. Like I said, didn't last long, and got to spend a little bit of time here, which, I mean, like I said, you can't really go wrong. It's pretty. So I did forget to show you around a little bit, so here it is real quick. Kind of the old prettier areas. I really want to see that bird. And the real name of Blackbeard is Edward Teach. So there you go. Killed in 1718. There's a big boat leaving. So just really, really pretty around here. And like I said, this area is called Bonner Point. If you want to visit out here, Bonner Point. Well worth a look. If you've watched, thank you very much for watching. As always, very special thank you to all of my patrons. I do very much appreciate all your support. A lot. And yeah, until next time, thank you again for watching. Adios. You know, I would turn a camera to face me, but I'm just too lazy because it's so pretty. Outro crew. Do you like my new boots? Yeah, I did a short revealing these ones. These are the perforated Indie Ridge ones. I can't remember the exact name of this model. You'll find them on their website, and I have to say they are very nice for this hot weather because of the perforations. They're a lot lighter than the full-size ones. Yeah, anyway, that's not a question though, is it really? Would you live here, Outro crew? And did you know that Blackbeard was a real person, or did you think he was a fictional character? Because a lot of people do. Let me know. Bye, Outro crew.